Have you ever bitten into a favorite local dish and wondered what the secret recipe was? In 1985, an entire city found out the answer to that question the hard way. The story begins in August 1985 in Macau. Located off the coast of China, Macau is a restless, neon-soaked hub built almost entirely on casinos and gambling. Because fortunes are won and lost every minute, the city attracts a constant, chaotic flow of tourists and drifters. People arrive with empty pockets, chase a lucky streak, and vanish by morning without a trace. With thousands of strangers cycling through the streets every day, missing persons rarely make the news. This constant churn provided a perfect, blinding camouflage for one of history's most gruesome crimes to unfold completely unnoticed. This is Hac Sa Beach. On the morning of August 8th, the peaceful routine of early swimmers and joggers was shattered when a woman screamed from the shoreline. Washing around in the surf were 8 torn black plastic bags. Inside those bags, police recovered 11 severed human limbs, mostly arms and legs. Pathology reports revealed the limbs hadn't been hacked apart at random. They were dismembered precisely at the joints, a level of precision that required a professional knowledge of human anatomy. Detectives were unable to find a single fingerprint. Every fingertip on the recovered hands had been meticulously crushed and destroyed. Without faces, teeth, or fingerprints, the victims were ghosts. The total destruction of forensic evidence effectively paralyzed the local police, leaving the entire city vulnerable to a highly organized, unidentified killer. Across town sat the Eight Immortals Restaurant. It was a wildly popular local establishment, famous across the peninsula for its roasted meats and bustling atmosphere. The restaurant was owned by Zhang Lin, a successful local businessman. His connection to the property was absolute. His entire household lived in the building directly above the dining room. That included his wife, 5 children, and a 70-year-old aunt. 10 family members in total, spanning 3 generations. Then, in early August, the entire 10-person family vanished overnight, leaving their thriving business completely abandoned. In a city built on the transient luck of the gambling tables, the sudden erasure of 10 lives didn't trigger an immediate manhunt. Locals simply assumed Zhang Lin had hit a bad streak and quietly slipped out of town. Days later, a strange 50-year-old man named Wang Qihang appeared at the property. He immediately claimed ownership of the empty restaurant and began hiring new staff. When neighbors asked questions, Wang had a tailored explanation. He claimed Zhang Lin owed him massive gambling debts and had signed over the restaurant deed as payment before fleeing to mainland China. The excuse fit the culture of Macau perfectly. Wang kept the doors open, and under his management, the business actively flourished. Locals were soon lining up down the street to get a table. The driving force behind this booming success was a specific addition to the menu: Wang's uniquely delicious char siu bao. Char siu bao are traditional steamed buns filled with barbecue pork, and Wang's version was the best anyone had ever tasted. While investigators secretly scoured the shorelines hunting a monster who mutilated bodies on the beach, the citizens of Macau were actively handing him their money at the dinner table. Months passed, and the calendar turned to 1986. The cold case finally cracked when police received a letter from Zhang Lin's brother in mainland China. He stated clearly that Zhang's family had never arrived. This diagram shows how police utilized new fingerprint matching technology to re-examine the evidence. On the left is the partial print recovered from the beach. On the right, a clean archived record. The database returned a hit. The severed hand belonged to Zhang Lin's 70-year-old aunt. The missing family and the beach victims were exactly the same people. Police immediately raided the Eight Immortals Restaurant. Inside Wang's apartment, they found the missing children's birth certificates and Zhang Lin's car keys. Under interrogation, Wang's true identity was exposed. His real name was Chen Ziling, a wanted fugitive who had fled Hong Kong. A decade earlier, to hide his past, Chen had held his own hands to a fire, burning off his fingertips. They had finally caught the architect of the massacre. But out of 10 entire bodies, police had only recovered 11 limbs. They were still missing the overwhelming majority of the human remains. After days of questioning, Chen finally confessed. On the night of August 4th, he confronted Zhang Lin after the restaurant closed, demanding a $20,000 gambling debt. When Zhang refused, the violence escalated instantly. Using a broken glass bottle and a heavy iron pipe, Chen slaughtered all 10 family members, moving methodically from the adults down to the 7-year-old child. Detectives pushed Chen on the missing evidence. While the bags on the beach only contained limbs, the heads, torsos, and internal organs of 10 people were still unaccounted for. Chen told them he spent 3 full days locked inside the restaurant, dismembering the corpses. He separated the meat from the bone and fed the flesh directly into the kitchen's commercial meat grinder. He then mixed that ground human meat into his barbecue sauce, baked it into his famous pork buns, and sold it to the thousands of unsuspecting customers who lined up outside his door every morning. Chen would never face a judge. Awaiting trial in his cell, he used the sharp lid of a discarded tin can to sever his own arteries. He bled out on the floor, taking the full details of his recipe to the grave. To this day, older generations in Macau hesitate to order meat buns from unfamiliar street vendors. They carry a lingering psychological scar, a permanent reminder that the most terrifying predators don't always hide in the shadows. Sometimes they are smiling right at you, serving you dinner in plain sight.